Hello everyone. I got a couple of things I want to share with you. This has been an interesting few days for me. My neighbors upstairs had some problems with their plumbing. The owners brought in the plumbers, and in the process they flooded my apartment with sewage. It was quite incredible, and they done this in the middle of the night. It's like 8 o'clock when they got started. By 10 o'clock I was deep in poop and crap all over my apartment. I pitched a little bitch, and by morning they had the cleaners there, and they ripped everything out. They cleaned all the carpets, put everything back where it belongs, and fixed the mess, which made me happy. But I had to miss 2 days of work while all of this is going on, actually, because of my dog. I couldn't just leave her outside, and we couldn't come in. So we hung out on the property while they got all this done. So I'm going to need a little extra help this week, if you can. Another thing why I'm making this video is while we were out, we kind of hung out. I went ahead and done all my laundry and everything, so we hung out in the laundry room, and this woman was bringing her baby in there, and because of the dryers, her baby had a breathing problem, and it was allergic to the medicines that they use for the antihistamines. And I understand that. I too am allergic to antihistamines, but I learned something years ago that will help, and it's putting no chemicals in your body whatsoever, but to dry the moisture out of your lungs. And it's called a hot rock room. It's a cedar room, and it has hot rocks in it, and you pour the water on there to make a steam room out of it, or you leave it dry. What it does is it dries it's a really dry air, and it dries all the moisture out of your lungs. I used to my son had asthma, and I would take him in a place. Actually, we moved there because they had a hot rock room, a cedar room. But you can do this yourself. Once I realized what was going on, and I had moved back to the reservation, what I would do is I would close off my kitchen. If you have doors, shut them. If it's an open kitchen, you need to hang blankets, and you need to seal the kitchen off. It works better if you have an electric stove, but a wood stove, propane or natural gas stove will work. It just tends to eat a lot of the oxygen out of the air because of the flame burning. But what you do is you get your oven really hot, and you take a piece of cedar wood, some nice red cedar, and you put it on the top shelf in the stove. Kick it up to about 450, 500 degrees, set it in there, let it get hot, and then open the door to your stove, and it will instantly dry all the moisture out of the room, and it will start drying it out of your lungs. And the cedar helps penetrate the lung. It helps those bronchial tubes open, kind of like a menthol would. But menthol can irritate the lungs to where natural cedar will not do that. And this woman, I told her, and she happened to have a little cedar box that had been in her family for a long time. So she just set the whole box in the oven. I guess like a little jewelry box or just a little box. And got it hot, opened it up, and then set her baby on the table near the stove, so that cedar, that warm, hot air, and the baby's much better now. It stopped wheezing, it stopped coughing, it's breathing, and it's resting. And she couldn't be more grateful. Her daughter's actually in a clinic with other children that have this same problem, and she couldn't wait to be able to go back to the clinic to tell what she had learned, because these chemicals these inhalers and all these medications and crap that they're giving your kids, it's just poisoning them, and it does not remove the moisture from the lungs. And sometimes really small babies, you get all kind of baby deaths because of a fluid buildup in the lungs when they're young. And winter can be really hard because you have that extra moisture in the air. Cedar chips, any type. She said that it didn't even hurt her box, that the box got hot and that was it. The cedar had already been cured and dried. It was decades old. It had been in her family forever. And you just keep reusing it. You don't have to have but one good piece of wood to do this. Another thing you can do, if you have like this huge kitchen or whatever, get yourself a small electric toaster oven and set it up in a small room or a closet or a bathroom. It's just the smallest space you can have. And you don't have to pump. It don't have to be extremely hot. Once that moisture starts to soak out of the air, that cedar starts grabbing that moisture as well. It wants the water back. It wants its moisture back. So it helps too in removing all the moisture from the air. This is good for adults too, not just babies. When I find myself congested and got a lot of fluids, this is what you want to do. You don't want to dope yourself up in 15-20 minutes in a full hot rock room. 15 minutes and your lungs are clean, and I mean clean. Back in the early 80s when I learned about this, I had friends. This is when people really first started smoking cocaine. It wasn't called crack back then. You made your own. It wasn't a street drug. And I had a bunch of friends that were doing that crap, and they could not breathe. Every time I was around them, they were worse than smokers. I'm a smoker, so I know about that hack. But theirs was just incredible. They would just, what I call, strangle. And it just was making me ill. So I turned them on to this procedure here, and it worked for them as well. So this is across the board. If you have problems with your lungs and your bronchial tubes, none of this medication they're giving you helps it. It actually makes it worse in the long run. It's irritating those tubes. It's destroying those nerve cells around those bronchial tubes. But if you want to clean them and open them up in a natural, fresh way, you know, they tell you, move to the desert. There's a lot of people out here in Las Vegas that are here because they have problems with their lungs. Just like this woman was telling me that they moved to the desert because they were by the water and the humidity was killing her child. So they moved here for that purpose. But even in the desert, the nights can be moist and set in on those lungs. And then you have our viruses that we get all the time. But I just simply wanted to share that with everybody because it is an all-natural way of doing this without poisoning yourself. And if you do this on a regular basis, you can actually heal your lungs from anything, whatever's wrong with them. This is the way to go. And I just wanted to share that because we are coming into winter months. We are coming into the flu season. We all know what that's about. This will even help with people with pneumonia. You want to get rid of pneumonia? You sit in a hot rock room for a few days. You'll be well. Every minute you're in there, there's less and less of that phlegm in your system, in your throat, your lungs, even your sinuses. If it's in your sinuses, just close your mouth and breathe through your nose. And it feels hot and it burns. You know, not burn, but you'll know what I mean when you start breathing through your nose. But it's drying all that mucus out of your system naturally. Naturally. And I don't know of a better way to do this. This woman was so impressed. She's just beside herself. She has stayed up night after night with that baby crying, and then having bad reactions to this medication they're giving it. And she's having to take it to the emergency room. To literally, she was sitting in the laundry room, putting quarters in the dryer, with no clothes in it, letting the dryer get hot, and then opening it for the baby. And I thought, well, you know, I would have closed my bathroom off, and you can sit there with a hair dryer, right? Get your bathroom just hot with a hair dryer. This works much better. There's something about the properties in cedar that are like Earth's natural medicine for the lungs. And we all love the way it smells. Everybody loves the smell of that red wood, that raw cedar. And if you can get really raw cedar, then you get the most of those properties when you get that wood hot. Like a natural menthol would open up. This works better because it doesn't leave that residue behind that can damage the bronchial tubes. All right, I hope this helps everyone that watches it. Everybody knows somebody that has a breathing problem, a lung problem, or has allergic reactions to these medications they're giving. That really, to me, they don't work at all. My son was on inhalers and all kind of stuff till I woke up and realized, get him in the hot rock room. And I literally moved to a place that had one. And then being on the reservation, you had to learn to compromise. And if you got a fireplace, just start that fireplace and set them cedar logs around it. You don't want them to burn. You just want them to get hot. And they'll start throwing that in the air and pulling the moisture out. All right, and don't forget about me. I do need some extra help this week. I am going to be a little short. So PayPal, Venmo, because it takes almost a week to move it from your PayPal to my PayPal and then back to my other account. So as soon as you could do that, I would really appreciate a little extra help this week. All right, I'm getting those charts out. I've got 5 left to do on the donations. You know who you are. Expect a couple of you I'm going to have to contact to verify some information, though. And then we're going to get to those free charts for everybody. All right. Have a great day. If you have any suggestions on what I'm saying here, put it in the comment box below so we can share this information with everybody. Something we can do for somebody in our lives and help each other out here. If you got some good info or some natural remedies where this is concerned, I'd be glad to try them out and pass them on to my subs too. And everybody have a great day. And don't forget, go out and commit that random act of kindness every day. And we can make this world a better place and make ourselves better people.